We begin with snow. It's here and it's coming. And we also talk about Kamala Harris. The light of America's promise will always burn bright. The words of Vice President Kamala Harris late this afternoon to her supporters.
She made her first public appearance since the defeat, calling President-elect Donald Trump and conceding today. Of course, we're following all the results and where we're going coming up. It all happened today, though, in Colorado on a weather impact day. The state digging out, and we're preparing for more snow later this week.
Yeah, take a look at the radar. You can see the snow is still lingering, especially out east. The evening commute could be a little damp in places and maybe a little icy in other spots.
And with that, we learned just in the last hour that Loveland's ski area is going to open up this weekend. The lifts will be fired up on Saturday morning for the first time this season. Loveland becoming one of the many areas that have seen a ton of snow in the last week or so. Just in the last 24 hours, they have 5 inches of fresh snow. Then you have Eldora, Winter Park, Breckenridge, Copper Mountain also set now to start their seasons this weekend.
Going anywhere eastbound will be a challenge. CDOT has closed many highways heading east towards Kansas. I-70 eastbound is closed from E-470 into Kansas.
That's why I have assembled the weather impact team.
Did you?
Yeah.
You called them in early?
I put the light in the sky, and there they are. Kathy is tracking the next storm heading our way, and there you see Corey out in the elements. He's out at I-70 in Watkins where that closure is. Corey, let us know what you're seeing there.
Hey, you know what? We're still seeing the snow come down out here. All the roads on the eastern plains are an absolute mess right now because of the snow and because of the wind that's been blowing the snow back over the road as they've been trying to get this road open a few times. And you can see behind me the evidence of how bad it has gotten a few times. Cars along the side of the road that have been involved in accidents. And we're right at that closure right here in the Watkins area here. As you can see the roadway here on I-70, it just looks wet out here. So there's no snowpack on it here. But CDOT is telling me that up here past Bennett and Byers, there is some significant snowpack on the roads, and the wind is blowing the snow over the top of the roads. We just got a report in from Lyman, which is just a little ways down the road here. 11 inches of snow has fallen in Lyman since this morning. So to give you an idea of some of the heavy snow that we're seeing out here on the eastern plains. And as we may get a little bit of a lull here in the Denver metro area, it's more likely that the eastern plains will stay involved in the heavier snow and the wind that blows the snow out here because there are no trees or buildings to slow that air down. So even a 30-mile-an-hour wind can have a significant impact on these roads, Kathy. And another thing I'm noticing out here is the roads are still very wet, and that's a little concerning going into a cold night.
Yeah, we talked about that, Corey, the threat for black ice tonight. And the area you're at, Byers, Watkins, extending out to Lyman, where Corey was talking about, that area is still under a winter storm warning for more accumulation as we move through the evening and overnight. We're under a weather impact day until 11 o'clock tonight. We're under a winter weather advisory in Denver through 11 o'clock. Potential for additional light snow. That black ice could make for a slick drive tonight, but then also again tomorrow. Heavy snow continues tonight and tomorrow over southern Colorado. We're already dealing with road closures and tough mountain travel. That will continue. But in Denver, those wet roads will turn icy overnight tonight. So far, so good on I-25, a big improvement over this morning. How about 4 inches of snow at DIA, marking the first official snowfall in Denver? Woohoo! Although many of us saw a lot more than 4 inches of snow today. So how about 11 in King Carroll? We saw about 9 in the Genesee area. Aurora with 8.5, 7.5 in Littleton, 4.5 in Arvada. DIA again with that official 4. This is the storm sitting and spinning. It will be the system that continues to bring snow to us tonight, tomorrow, Friday into Saturday, and that's when we could see another heavier round of snow heading into the weekend. It's cold out there, 27 degrees currently in Denver, and we're watching the wind. A cold north wind is creating some blowing and drifting on some of those arteries. We're still seeing some of those heavier snow bands around the Byers area, out toward Watkins, where Corey is, Castle Rock, Parker, just to the south of the Denver metro area, Aurora, Centennial, and back into Golden and Morrison. And again, Denver under that winter weather advisory until 11 o'clock tonight, with heavier snow under a winter storm warning to the east. Much more on the timing and impact coming up.
As we're tracking more snow later this week, don't forget, you got to take your forecast with you. You can see the live radar and forecast updates right there, free on the 9 News app.
Turn to the news of the day, a lot of it surrounding the election and voting. A postal worker, now one of 2 women arrested in Mesa County. They're accused of forging signatures on more than a dozen ballots.
9 News political reporter Marshall Zellinger is here, and this was big news last month when 3 of those ballots were accepted and counted despite the fact the signatures were forged.
Yeah, at the time, Colorado's Democratic Secretary of State Jenna Griswold said that 12 ballots were turned in, but then 3 of them slipped through after being reviewed by human eyes, and those ballots were allowed to be counted even though they were flagged by the Mesa County voting machines as having a questionable signature. The arrest warrant we just got in the last hour shows 16 stolen ballots, not just 12, with perhaps a total of 20 or more victims. Vicki Stewart, on the left, is a U.S. Postal Service mail carrier. Sally Maxedon, she's on the right. The arrest warrant from law enforcement in Mesa County describes Stewart filling in to deliver mail when ballots were being delivered. Maxedon told investigators that these 2 came up with a plan to, quote-unquote, test the voting signature system. The stolen ballots returned with forged signatures were along the same mail route. According to the warrant, Maxedon, who is not the mail carrier, she told investigators that she filled out the stolen ballots and forged the voter signatures on the envelopes. Well, when a ballot envelope is run through the ballot sorting machine like this one in Jefferson County, the machine takes an image of the signature on the envelope and compares the signature to the last signature sent in by the voter. If there's a question, human election workers compare the signatures. Of the 12 flagged by the computer last month, a human election worker allowed 3 to continue through the process to be counted. The other ballots were held to the side until the voter actually confirmed that they sent the ballot in. The 2 that have been charged are charged with identity theft, forgery, and an attempt to influence a public servant. Again, according to the arrest warrant, one of them admitted to voter fraud to try to test voter fraud.
So obviously they committed, if in fact this is true, they would have committed a crime to prove that there's a crime being committed.
Sure, like if those 3 that got through, if what is in the arrest warrant is accurate, and they said, we faked these signatures to see if we could get any through, and 3 got through, are they heroes? No, they perhaps
And it's
committed
Mesa
a crime.
County again.
Yeah, there's no reference to Tina Peters, the former clerk, in this affidavit, anything like that. I'll point out, I just got an alert from the United States Postal Service that the one who is a mail carrier is indeed an employee of the USPS and is currently on non-work duty. Still an employee, but I guess that's their version of like leave. Like you're still an employee, but you're not doing anything.
I was going to say, there's a parallel investigation here with the U.S. Postal Service.
Yeah, and they were involved, and they found out that these ballots that were turned in were along the same route, which is why they were involved, I believe, from the start. On top of, if your ballot is taken from the mail, it's already a crime that way. But I think they had a feeling, based on where these were from, that it was along the same mail route. So maybe there was something on the inside, and we find out through the affidavit
And
that
now
one
it's
of them was a mail
16.
carrier. 16 according to this arrest warrant. So there were 4 more than what we were told last month.
All right. Marshall, yet another twist you're following. Thank you.
As we continue our 2024 election coverage, it is, of course, tradition for losing presidential candidates to call on the new president-elect, and Kamala Harris made that call earlier today. A senior advisor confirmed that saying Harris talked about the need for a peaceful transfer of power. President Joe Biden also called President-elect Trump and reportedly plans to speak publicly about the results of the election tomorrow. Harris made her first appearance since the defeat at Howard University just a couple of hours ago.
While I concede this election I do not concede the fight that fueled this campaign. I spoke with President-elect Trump and congratulated him on his victory. I also told him that we will help him and his team with their transition, and that we will engage in a peaceful transfer of power.
Even though some states have yet to be called, former President Trump has secured enough votes to win the Electoral College. Of course, you need 270. NBC News has his count currently at 295, thanks to the wins in the swing states of Georgia, North Carolina, Pennsylvania, Michigan, and Wisconsin.
Turning to our state election, we have an update this hour about Congressional District 3, covering parts of western and southern Colorado. Just about a half hour ago, Democrat Adam Frisch conceded. The race between Frisch and Republican Jeff Hurd has been close. Hurd will now take the victory in a solidly Republican district, replacing Lauren Boebert, who made the district competitive. Adam Frisch did last time around. Colorado's biggest race, though, is still not called. Colorado's 8th congressional race between current Democratic Congresswoman Yadira Caraveo and Republican Gabe Evans remains extremely tight. If you look at that, 49 to 48. The outcome for the district covering Adams and Weld counties will affect the balance of power in the U.S. House. That's why so much money was thrown behind it. Besides state legislature and Congress, Colorado voters also had a long list of measures to consider, and one that caught a lot of attention: the push to end hunting for mountain lions, bobcats, and lynx in the state. Right now, it's legal, and the voters have chosen to keep it that way by a pretty large margin. We will cover more results, including the ballot initiative securing right to abortion, in our next half hour. You can also find all of the unofficial results listed on 9news.com.